So welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. We're super excited. My name's Brittany Hayes for anyone that's on the bigger team hopping on. And I'm super excited for you guys to hear tonight. All the tips we're going to share. I'll let Fayre introduce herself too. We just approved these people in the waiting room. All right. This is my second time in the network marketing world. I start my first journey was the company I was with before this. And I was with them for almost a decade, a top earner with them, paid off tons of debt, changed my family's life. And I took a break from the industry little after 2020 until now, when some things, kind of came my way. I went through a rough divorce, stuff like that, and just decided to step away, but always remained open to the industry because I truly believe you can make more money in this world than you can doing anything else. And when Mike Patillo approached me, it was immediately a hell yes. I was like, I know that this is the right place, right time, and that this is the opportunity I've been waiting for. So super excited to be here with all of you and can't wait for everyone to learn and grow together tonight. Fayre, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi guys, my name's Fayre Monteclavo. Similar story to Brittany. I got my start in network marketing back in 2013. We were actually in the same first company. I've been kind of jumping around since. I hate to say that because I'm not a company jumper, but after spending 10 years in my first one, it had to be a perfect fit for me to want to stay. And so I had a few short stints at a couple other companies. And then same thing, Mike reached out to me, and if Mike trusts it and he's putting his name behind it, I was like, I got to take a look. And I went to his house for his like first opportunity meeting, I guess you could call it. It was his birthday party too, and I was blown away. I just loved everything I heard, the science behind it. It's just legit. And I was like, okay, I can put my name behind this and I can plant my flag and actually take it serious. So I'm super happy to be here. I love the products. I love that we have all the research, the science backing. It's huge, huge, huge in this industry. So I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, same here. I couldn't agree more. Like seeing the science, hearing the testimonies that are rolling in already. I just don't know how anybody doesn't realize what we have our hands on at this point. So we're super excited to share with you guys tonight our best tips for, making reels easily. Cause I know so many of you, like you're probably more comfortable making a post, like a still photo post than a reel. And that's totally fine, but we want to help you realize reels are not that hard either. And give you some creative ideas that you can make some quickly, along with posting effectively, posting in a way where people are going to slow their scroll and read what you had to say and look at what you had to say rather than just scroll past it. And then also just, speaking in a way that your audience will listen. So tonight, the whole theme is going to be about posting. And our hope is that you walk away feeling equipped, to not just finish this week strong with some good content, but finish the whole month strong and, really, really get in a groove of branding yourself and showing up on social media in a way that feels authentic and hopefully in a way that doesn't feel intimidating, in a way that feels like, okay, this isn't that hard. I can do it. So let's get started with reels, because I know so many of you guys ask about reels all the time. And like, I know that whenever those of you that are working in small mentorship groups with me, when I've, said to make a reel, a few of you have been like, okay, that was a little hard, or that was scary, or I finally figured it out. And I'm so proud of you guys for trying and showing up, even when you don't feel like you have all the answers. But it definitely kind of made me realize maybe we need some more tips, as a group on this. So Fayre, I'm going to let you take it away first on reels, and then I'll piggyback on whatever you share, because you've been doing some awesome videos and I feel like you've been doing it for a while, been super consistent, even though you came from the same generation as me in our last company where reels weren't even a thing when we were building. You know what I mean? Like we had to learn that too. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for them to hear your perspective.
So I dove into Reels because probably around 2020, my first business started taking a nosedive. And I was like, okay, I need to grow my network. And so I really dove into Reels, not really posting business or opportunity, but to just get in people's feed, because the more Reels you put out, the more the Facebook algorithm and the Instagram algorithm is going to push you into new people's feeds. I know you all see it in the middle of your screen where it's like, reels of people you don't know. That's how you get in there, is by creating more and being consistent with them. So I really started making them that were just like totally generic, just to literally grow my network again, to start reaching new people. So if you're really intimidated by them and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing these amazing reels, but there's all this editing and like all this stuff, you're overthinking it. You don't have to do that right off the bat. The more you make, the more you'll get comfortable and you'll get used to new things, new effects, new things like that. But for now, if you're like, if you haven't made a single reel or you've made a couple and you're just really intimidated by it, I just want you to seriously take like a 6-second video of yourself You guys can look at the one I made today. I had my creative brain wasn't working today. It's, day after a long boat day, Cinco de Mayo. I might have had a couple margaritas yesterday, and I was just like, my creative brain wasn't there this morning. So all day today, I've just been kind of like in a funk. But I have to put out content. So it's literally me shaking a shaker for 6 seconds, and then I'm not a huge fan of using like Chat GPT for writing my posts. But what I am a fan of Chat GPT for is going there and getting bullet points. So I went right over, I literally did a 6 second video. Actually, it was an old one. I have my hair curled and that's not me today, but an old video of me shaking a shaker with my Immunical. Went over to ChatGPT, said, give me 6 quick bullet points of why glutathione precursor is something beneficial to take. And then it gave me the 6 quick bullet points. I copied and pasted it, put that over my 6 minute video, found some trending audio on Instagram, put that with it. And then went and looked at one of my posts for the caption that was like meet the body shot, copied and pasted that right to my reel, and boom, done. I made it in less than 2 minutes, you guys, just from things I already had in my, B-roll content, and from going straight to chat GPT. My Mac does not want to stay alive tonight. I think my charger's broken. Sorry, I just got real dark. My light just went off. So anyways, if you're in a brand new spot, that would be my advice, is like literally make a 6 second video, put enough verbiage over it that it's, so here's my other tip. You'll notice I put a lot of verbiage over a short video, but that's intentional, because if someone has to play it multiple times to read the verbiage, that's considered multiple views. Even if it's the same viewer, it's the same person. If they watch it 4 times in order to read all that verbiage, that counts as 4 views. So it looks like you're getting a ton of views, even if they're coming from the same people. So I intentionally put more verbiage on it than it takes, more verbiage than time it takes to read it, so that they have to rewatch it. So that's the other thing, is like put a lot of verbiage on there. You want it to fit. You don't want the audio to, you don't want it to cut off. You want it to fit, but you want it to be like super quick to where they have to watch it a few times. So those would be my tips for like a brand new reel maker: is a quick video. Go use either Chat GPT or Google to just get some bullet points. And then as far as your caption, steal one of me and Brittany's posts, or one of the other leaders, and just be like, read the caption. You can put that call to action in your reel, read the caption, and then the caption can explain more. So that's it. It will literally, your first one might take you 5 minutes to make, but then by the time you've learned how to do it, if you're having a day like me and your brain's just not working, you can make a reel in under 2 minutes. So don't overthink it. Get started.
Absolutely. I love it so much. And Fayre really hit the nail on the head with like, number one, don't worry if they can't read it all in time. That is a good thing. I feel like I've had a lot of you guys that have asked me that. They're like, I'm trying to put stuff on there, but I can't get it all in the time. Like, that's the point. They should have to watch it a couple times to get all the information. That's a good thing for you. It's good for the algorithm. But also, like she said, just don't overthink, share what you feel inclined to share that day, especially like those of you that are working with some of us in small groups. If the challenge that day was to create a product reel, go pick your favorite product. If it's an opportunity reel, pick your, decide like what angle you want to come at your story from that day. And Michelle just asked in the chat, can you share an example of an opportunity reel? Yes. So I'm going to see if I can actually like AirPlay my iPhone on the screen and like show you guys a few things. I should be able to. Let me see. Let's see. It's been so long since I've done this. All right, I'll look in a second when Fayre's talking, but because I know there is a way. I used to do it all the time, and there's usually a button, and then they moved it because all the iPhone updates, they always throw me off. Like, I'm glad for all the new features, but then I have to like refigure out where everything is. So I'll figure that out in a second. Yeah, because I don't see it there. I'll look at that in a second. Anyways, but all that to say, so let me show you guys a couple quick ideas that I wanted to share with y'all. So one, if you look at my Instagram, and this is not a business reel, but this applies for some things we're going to share tonight, and you could use this for business. So Fayre and I will have to do a Zoom on branding only at a later date. So I don't want to get too far into branding, but I do want to say, like, you'll notice, like, both with her feed and mine, that we have things we regularly talk about that are not just the products or the opportunity. And that is to build our brand. That's to really attract our ideal audience, who is going to follow us because they're inspired by us, follow us because they think we're funny, or they like what we have to share, or whatever. And so I do encourage you doing those things, and we'll do a separate Zoom maybe later this month on branding for anyone who wants to attend. But one thing I talk about a lot is like obviously being divorced and remarried. I talk a lot about, healthy relationship, healthy love. Will share things about little ways trauma will come up in your life. So I did this one. It's one of the most recent ones on my feed. If you look at it, this is just like an 8-second video of me walking down the streets in New Orleans on the way to Houston for the launch. We stopped in New Orleans with a couple of people on our team. And I literally just got Joe to record me walking just down the street. It was just a little cute shot, nothing crazy. And I use that to make a really relatable reel, like really, sharing and inspiring people who've been through similar things. You could also have done that same thing as an opportunity reel, and like put facts. So Michelle asked for an example of an opportunity reel. I've got quite a few. Let me scroll down to one of the latest ones. Now, whenever I share beach ones, I always get people that are not in Florida, which there is a lot of our team in Florida. But those of you who aren't, I always get people like, well, but we don't live near the beach. Like, what do we do? You can do this walking down the street. If you've got a cute little downtown in your area, go downtown with your kids one day and your husband on like a Saturday and just walk around, let the kids play and like get a couple cute videos, just to mix up the scenery. But like, here's some that I did. This was not even staged, but I was like sitting on the beach and it was just me and Joe because we didn't have the kids that day. And I was actually responding to people and he just like took it upon himself to start getting some like content for me. So he just like literally got a 3-second loop of me just sitting there on my phone. And so I put POV, your office is wherever you feel like that day. And for those of you that don't know, when you see POV on Reels, it just means point of view. And when you do something like POV or something that's said a lot on Instagram, the algorithm will pick it up as like, oh, this is trending. You know what I mean? So it's just a way it can be relatable. But POV, your office is wherever you feel like that day because your phone is what generates your family of 10's income. And then in the caption, I wrote what I wrote. And I direct people on Instagram to fill out my influencer application in my bio. And I always say in my story or my bio, because I'll share the reel to my story and then I'll use the link feature and I'll put the link for my Google form. So that way they can just click it there. They go to my bio. You always want to make it easy for people to contact you. I also will put, text opportunity to blah, blah, blah. That way, if it's someone that would rather text, they can do that. So that's one. You'll notice that I have a lot of these from the beach because he took a lot, but I've got like another one sitting down that's from a different angle, but it was that exact same day. And that one just says, well, it's going too fast. I can't read it. It's Fayre nice trick. So I'm going to have to let it start over. So I said, POV, you spend most days at the beach or by the pool. It's going too fast because one day you woke up and decided to live a life. I can't read it that fast. I said, took a leap of faith, made a change. And then I put, and guess what? You can too. And then I put the arrow pointing down. And when the arrow's pointing down to the caption. When they read the caption, it says life is too short to spend it working your tail off for 5 days. So you can only live for 2. I've used my smartphone to generate a lucrative income off social media for years now. And it's changed my family's entire life. More time as a family, being present with my kids, more memories made, and the list goes on. I'd love to help you the way someone first helped me. Click the link in my bio to fill out my influencer application. I'll connect with you soon. Now, one thing I want to say, because some of you are probably like, okay, but I just started. I'm not making a crazy income right now, or my first check was only $100. My first check in my last company was like $100. But my check doubled every single month until I started making 5 figures. And that happened very quickly. And by my first 2 years in the company, I'd made $1 million. So don't think in your head that just because you haven't made a lot of money yet, that you can't write an inspiring post. What I would write when I was brand new in that company was I would write something as simple as like, take a picture of like my kids in the grocery cart and say, I'm so thankful that because of working off my smartphone, I have extra income coming in to cover things like gas and groceries that I used to have to stress about as a 1-income family. So that's one angle you could put at it. Another angle you could put at it is, if you have a lot of debt, be really transparent that it's a goal to pay off debt. And you could say, I'm so thankful that because of working off my smartphone, I'm now able to pay my debt off even faster. I'll be debt free by the end of the year. Claim it, speak it in existence. You're not lying. You're literally telling them like, this is what I'm doing with this money. They don't have to know that your check's only $100. You're not saying how much you're making, but you're showing someone a solution to a problem they might have too, if that makes sense. One thing I would do in that company, and this is very relevant for all of you on here, if you're making progress and you're growing little by little every month, even if you have a slow start, I would say things like, oh my gosh, just got my 3rd paycheck. My check doubled another month. in a row. It's doubled 3 months in a row or whatever, however I said that. I'm so thankful. You know, what other job can you say that you have that your paycheck doubles every month? Again, my first check was $100. My second check was 200. My next check was 400. They didn't know that. I just said, I'm so excited my check's doubling. And I was so excited my check's doubling. I saw the momentum and I knew if I kept going, it was going to eventually compound and it would be a lot of money. So those are creative ways that you can honestly and truthfully authentically write a post. You're not lying. You're not claiming you're making thousands and thousands of dollars yet, but you are still being inspiring. And here's the thing, you never know what someone's going through. Like, I'm going to call Marzia out. I know Marzia and I have a friend in our networking group that's asked us about the business. And we never knew until she had a conversation with us that they were going through some pretty tough stuff. And it was someone that we thought had it all together and was doing just fine and making tons of money with their business and all that. And so I'm sharing that to say, like, you never know the person that's watching you that you might think, oh, they would never do this, or, oh, they have it all together. You know, nothing I say is really going to make them want to do this. You don't know. Like, if you start talking about, I'm paying my credit cards off and I'll be debt free by the end of the year. If this resonates and you want a solution too, reach out to me. Like, you never know who sees that post and is going to be like, hey, I need help. Like, we're drowning. Or making a post relatable about, I used to have to, you know, money's been so tight in this economy. I used to have to really, you know, watch what I spent at the grocery store. Now I'm not having to worry about that because I have extra income coming in off my smartphone. You know, just like break it down in little relatable ways. You don't have to make $1 million to inspire someone. If that was the case, Fayre and I would have never made our first $1 million in our last company because we would have never inspired anybody to even get to that point, you know? So rebuke that lie and don't believe that. Both of us have a lot of reels posted. So if you need other ideas, you can, you know, scroll and look. Some other things that I like to do just to keep things relatable, again, because part of my branding is sharing like healthy relationship. I'll do like just cute little silly reels where I'm like jumping on my husband's back in the street, giving him a kiss. Like, I make my kids film this and then I'll, you know, write something inspirational. When it's a product reel, I'll do things very simple because I want to give you guys an example of everything. Let me go back to my last product reel because my last few product posts have been post, not reels. So I did this one, 6 signs you're extremely deficient in vitamin D. And then, like Fayre said, you got to read it really fast. So you're going to have to watch it a few times. And then at the end, it says, here's how to fix it. And I point down to the caption. So again, that goes right in line with what she said about asking Chat GPT what 6 benefits for a glutathione precursor. You can literally get so creative. And also, just a little fun fact, this reel, that's not even a video of me. That is a picture that my son took of me at the pool. And I just literally made the picture into a reel. So you can get creative. Like, you might not even feel like you have any content to make a reel, and start looking in your camera roll, get creative with ways like that. And you'll be surprised. Start utilizing, you know, opportunities of just, like I said, walking down the street, you know, walking at the park with your kids. Or if you want to make an opportunity reel, take a video of your kids playing at the park or playing in your backyard. And just say, like, I'm, you know, right on it. Like, I'm so thankful that these are what my days look like because working off my smartphone, I don't have to leave the home to work, you know, something like that. And then put your post in the caption. So don't overthink it. Find quick little things you can video that you can get creative, write some good stuff on, and go from there. So as we keep going, if anybody has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and then we'll come back to them after we're done. But yeah, so next thing, let's talk about utilizing stories. Fayre, do you want to take that away?
Yeah. Well, you're way better at it than me. I think you go live in your stories every day, and that is like such a goal of mine, but I always fall short. First of all, going on video in your stories, I do fall short. I'm just being 100% honest here, but I know how beneficial it is. If you go live in your stories every day, yourself talking, like you're literally just staring at the camera and talking to them like they're in your kitchen or in your living room, the amount of interaction I get when I go live in my stories is tenfold what I get when I just post still things in my stories. So I know it's intimidating. Again, kind of like reels. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to go start talking. Yes. Don't overthink it. Just go in there. The other day, I went on like a 5 mile run. I was disgusting and sweaty and hot. And I was like, no excuses today. I'm doing all the things. I got in there with made my Immunocal boost and with my booster and just talked about it, just like literally talked about it like my friend was sitting in my kitchen. And I got like 3 people in my inbox that were like, all right, talk to me about this stuff. So it's so beneficial to go live in your stories, and obviously just continuously. It's hard because stories only last for 24 hours. So you want to have them always there always being something in there. So you can't just like cluster post and then not post for the rest of the day, or they're all going to expire at the same time. and then you have nothing in your stories. So that's something I'm also working out, is spacing out my posts, because I'm also a fanatic about fitness. And while I'm working out, I'll post like 5 fitness things in a row, like getting ready to working out, done working out. And I'm trying to learn how to just like space those out like hour per hour. So that way my stories are always active. It's never growing dry. So just get in the habit of literally documenting your day. That
Yeah.
sounds like silly, but if you did one story an hour, like woke up having my immunical, or maybe you have a coffee and you're still drinking coffee, that's fine. Do your coffee and just say like good morning, whatever. And then the next hour, whatever you're doing, like literally documenting your whole day is going to help, so that the algorithm sees you just constantly being active, because the stories are also part of your algorithm. So they know when you're busy in your stories. Literally, like as a content creator on Facebook and Instagram, I get alerts that tell me like my insights, and like it'll tell me if I was down 17% this week from last week in my stories, and I was like, ah, crap. So it's just knowing that, like, if you can be consistent in your stories, that's going to help your algorithm, and that's going to help your followers trust you more, which everyone buys from people they know, like, and trust. So you got to just be just as consistent in your stories as you are your posts. The good thing about the stories, you don't have to think about it as hard. It doesn't have to be a big drawn out, like when you're making a post. I know for me, again, I don't really use Chat GPT for posts. So it's like, okay, I have to write an essay real quick. Give me 28 minutes. It's not a fast process versus stories. I'm like, crap, I need to do something really quick. I can post a picture of me and my sun ray and just be like, um, taking my vitamin D pill. It's 10,000 times stronger than the normal vitamin D3. Boom, done. It's so much faster. So just get really consistent about posting in your stories, and not just cluster posting, but posting throughout the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And what Fayre means by going live in your story. So, if you go on Instagram, let me lower my exposure so you guys can see a little better. If you're on Instagram and you go like this to do a story, okay? Click the arrow to go down, click right there where it says hands free. And when you click hands free, all you got to do is press and hold this. Set your phone wherever you want. It's going to count down 3, 2, 1. You got a minute. You can just sit there and talk. And then once you get done talking and doing your thing, I'm just going to end it right here and show y'all. You can click the little sticker at the top right here. Click captions right there. And it will literally put captions on your video. See? And you can move them wherever you want. Obviously, move them below your face. But you literally, that way, if people are watching with the sound off, if they're at work or something, they can still read everything you're saying. That's so easy, you guys. Like Fayre said, you don't have to overcomplicate it. You don't have to edit anything. You just literally record yourself, add the captions, boom, post it. If you go over a minute, which I often do because I'm long-winded, I'll sometimes make like 3, sometimes 4. I will just like post one and then I immediately start the other one. Talk, talk, talk. Because it's a video, it usually takes like a minute to upload anyway. So by the time it uploads, you're done with the second one, you're uploading that, on to the next. If you're talking about products or business, always give a call to action in your stories. So like, for example, if, we're sitting here drinking our body shot after me for my morning walk, because I'm not as much of a baddie with working out as Fayre yet. Fayre after her workout, if we're in there doing our body shot, I documented my walk, she documented her workout, and now we're showing everyone we're drinking our body shot. And we're talking about the benefits. We need to end on, if you're interested in some info, DM me body shot and I'll give you all the info, or I'll answer any questions you have, or I'd love to help you get some. Say whatever you want, but give them a clear way to reach out, because so many people are watching. But like, if they're busy, it'll just be like, oh, I'll make a mental note, I'll ask her about it later. But when it's like 1 word or 2 words or an emoji they got to send, and you're going to give them all the info, so many more people will do it because they don't have to think about it. If they're busy, it's like, oh, I can send this, I'll read her response later, but at least I asked for the information. Another great thing in your story, I always like to tell people, take advantage of Instagram's features. Instagram will reward you for using their features, so will Facebook. So if they've got features, like, utilize them. That's going to be good for your algorithm. So what I mean by that is, like, if you guys see, if you look at my story today, you'll notice I did a poll. This is just something that is made in Canva. So like just a little graphic. We got more people in the waiting room. Let them in. So you can make little cute stuff like this. Or you could just write it on Instagram using the create function if you don't feel like making something. But I put 3 signs of your body Oh my gosh, I have a typo. How embarrassing. Three signs you body. Three signs your body is begging for a reset. Your sleep is thrown off, your energy levels are low, your mood has been all over the place. And then I put, be honest, are you listening to your body? And then I put a poll option of like, yes, and I'm working on it, or no, I've been ignoring the signs, and I put some emojis. And I've been getting people voting on that poll today. So what I'm doing is like the people that are saying, no, I've been ignoring the signs, like I'm just sending them a message like, hey, I totally get it. Like I've been there. Stuff just starts sneaking up on you. I don't know if you've seen any of my posts about my products, but if you want to share with me a little bit more about what's going on, I would love to share with you what I have that could help you. I think we lost Fayre again, maybe.
I'm here. Sorry.
You're there. Okay. You moved around and I thought your computer died again. I'm like, where'd she go? But yeah, just saying like, I'd love to, if you're open to it, share with me what's going on. And I'd love to share with you what I have to help. The worst they can say is, no, I'm not interested. You know what I mean? The best they can say is, yeah, tell me about it, but polls are a great way to get people, intrigued. One of the things that I shared with my mentorship groups this morning that I'll share with you guys, just some poll ideas. As I said, do a poll of some sort in your story today, asking something like, what do you struggle with most? And the options could be, because they can be more than two options. You can have as many options as you want. Binge eating, low energy, constantly getting sick. Or another thing you could do is, what is one thing you would instantly change about your health if you could? And then the poll options could be more energy, no more bloating, better sleep, etc. So, you get creative with your polls, because those are a great way to just get people to vote, tell you all, right out of the gates what's going on with them. Another couple things that I like to do, just if you want to be extra, is after I do those hands-free stories, like Fayre was talking about going live in your story, I will use the create feature last, which is clicking right here, the letters. So when you go to do a story, you click right there. It's going to look like this. You can change the color background, and you can, select your font and all that. And I'll just write one more little last thing. Like, so if it was an opportunity story where I'm talking about how much, this has changed my life, you need to reach out to me if you're struggling, need extra income, I'd love to help you, blah, blah, blah. I'll do a story on create where I'll like put like a quote or something, like something inspirational. Like it can be as simple as, nothing changes if nothing changes. You've got to step out to find out. If you keep watching my posts and feeling like you should reach out to me, you probably should. Text opportunity to blah, 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 or click this link and fill out my influencer application. I'll connect with you. And that takes me one extra minute to do, but it's one more little jab at their heart when they're already thinking about it. And what I find is those are a lot of the times the ones that I get people clicking the link, because it's easy to listen to what you're saying and be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then they see that last little thing and you throw a couple inspirational things in there. I do the same thing with health stuff. I'll be like, if you're not investing in your health because you think it's too expensive, I promise you, waiting for disease, it's going to be a whole lot more expensive. If you keep seeing my posts and feeling like you should try something, I would love to help you. Reach out to me, text info, and I'll answer all your questions. So just again, you get creative with your stories. Stories are a great thing if like you're busy, you're working, you feel bad that you haven't posted all day. You don't know if you're going to have the energy to post. You're not feeling inspired to post. Like I could go on and on with the excuses, the reasons. Stories are a great way to kind of pull yourself back in, give yourself grace that maybe you didn't make a post, but like you did something, you know what I mean? And what I love about it is like, you don't have to edit. There's not a lot of overthinking you can even do. It's 24 hours. If it wasn't good, you got a fresh chance tomorrow. So I really encourage you guys, if you haven't been utilizing stories, start utilizing them, because it will be a game changer for you. And then definitely make sure you're sharing anytime you make a post on Instagram, a post or reel. I'll just click this one of me and my kids. You just click that little arrow right there. When you click it, then you can click share a story, put it in your story. It's just one more point of contact that people have with it. And just, it's going to increase your views on the actual post, your views on the actual reel. So, Fayre, do you have any more tips about stories before we move on?
No, that was great.
Okay. Next thing we're going to talk about is just like posting effectively. So posting in a way that's not spammy, that's not going to want to make people just scroll right past it, but is really going to intrigue them to stop scrolling and actually read what you had to say, but still keeping it simple for you. Like, again, both of us are big on like, we don't spend a whole lot of time editing stuff. So Fayre, I'll let you start with this one and then I'll piggyback on you.
Well, this one, I think it's kind of common sense, but I realize when you're new, it's hard to really, be transparent and put your heart into it. It's kind of like, I don't really know why I'm doing this. You have to like find your why. And that has to become your consistent story that you tell over and over again. So like when I first joined network marketing, I was a single mom of four bartending full time. I still to this day, 13, 14, gosh, I don't even know now, 14 years later almost, will go back to that and be like, 14 years ago, as a single mom of four, broken, bartending full time, not keeping my head above water, I found this opportunity. I said yes. Obviously, I'm in a new company, so I don't, the story has evolved, but I still always go back to like the meat and potatoes. Why did I join network marketing? What was I genuinely trying to get out of? So maybe that's not your story. It's probably not your story. Maybe you joined Immunotech as your first network marketing company, and you joined because you wanted to try the glutathione precursor immunocal and you just want to get healthy. Perfect. That's your story. You wanted to get healthy on a cellular level and make things healthy from the inside out. You're not, not for vanity purposes, but to genuinely get healthy, to live longer for your kids, your grandkids, or whatever. So whatever your why might be, I know Michelle Thomas is a military wife, so she can talk about that over and over and over again. Like, you have to have just that little meat and potatoes of why you're doing this, and that just has to carry over on almost every single post. I don't put it on every post, but at least a couple times a week I go back to that story, because anytime I get a new follower, they don't know my story. So, or even people that have been following me for a long time, someday that mom unfortunately might become a single mom, if somebody's going through a divorce or something, and then it's going to resonate where maybe it didn't, 6 years ago when she was still married. So you have to always tell your story. Something else that I'm really big on, and I like listened when I first joined this industry, I was like such a fan of gurus. So I listened to like Eric Worre all the time, and he always said, feel, felt, found. So here's how I feel. This is what, this is your feelings. This is how I felt that way too. And what I found is this. So like for me, I'll say, I know how it feels to be broken. I felt that way too as a single mom of four, bartending full time. And what I found was this opportunity that gave me a way out. So like that feel, felt, found method, if you're really trying to think of something that's captivating, but you're struggling, put that in your brain and feel, felt, found. Like, use that as the basis of paragraph 1. Here's how they're feeling. Paragraph 2, you felt that way too because, and make it relatable. And paragraph 3, I found a solution to that problem. So that's another, great way. It's like a hook line, because you bring them in, they feel the emotions and they can relate to you. So the last thing is being relatable. Obviously, you do kind of have to find your people. So not everyone is going to relate to me being a single mom of four as a bartender. There's other people that completely, that lifestyle has never been on their radar. So you have to find your people, and doing so, I've talked about this before, like going into groups that relate to you, adding friends in there. And that way, when you're making those posts, you're not just making it for like your grandma who's not relating to that at all. You're making it for people who you found through connections that then are like, oh, I met her in my youngest is an IVF baby. So like a lot of my followers I met in IVF groups. So they like follow my youngest, like they're like her biggest fan club, but I know that because they've followed her whole journey. So knowing those people, they trust me from a totally unrelated journey, but now they follow, they've become my business partners, some of my best friends, some of my best customers. So finding people through groups and stuff like that, and like your niche is going to help you when you make those posts. Those people are going to automatically relate because you already share something in common with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And, also staying relatable and connecting with people, like Fayre said, goes back to, I think, Fayre, you mentioned this, like sharing the behind the scenes moments of your life. Like, not to go back to the story topic, but like utilize stories to share behind the scenes moments of your life. You guys, if you follow me, notice like when we're playing playing cards in the living room at night, and my two youngest are, being crazy and climbing all over Joe, and one of them's sitting on his shoulders and one of them's doing his hair. I'll put those little quick, like little 10-second snippet videos in my story because people think it's funny. And also it gives them a glimpse into our world and our life. And it makes it where I'm not just like a walking business card all the time. You know what I mean? And so to Fayre's point, and like I said, we'll do a branding Zoom later in the month, hopefully. But this is where it's really important to like kind of decide like, what are the things I want to be known for? And obviously health and wellness, financial freedom, they're going to fit into that, but then have those other things that you're passionate about too, because that's going to keep those people, like Fayre said with her IVF group, that are following you and trust you even outside of a reason than just connecting with you about business. So, and it's so true. Those people will join you. They will become customers. It's crazy. Even people in my last company who were on my team, who, just said they're burnout, they don't want to do network marketing again, whatever, they're all customers right now. They're buying. And I've gotten some incredible testimonies in that way. So like, even though maybe they don't feel the business is right for them, that trust is already there. And that can come from all these different avenues, whether it's, if you have young kids and you're involved at the school and you meet other moms, you know what I mean? Or if you're just in a mom's group that you're very active and comment on stuff, like Fayre said, there, like IVF was something she went through. So she's been in those groups. If you've been in a group, like Michelle could be in like a military mom group, you know what I mean? There's so many different things. So just like really figuring out like what are some groups I could join, how can I start showing up in an authentic way and making those new connections. I know that doesn't directly like come into what we're talking about with posting, but like it does come into growing that audience and getting more eyes on your page. So as far as posting effectively, my biggest tips is really try your hardest not to screenshot stuff off the website, not to post like stock photos and things like that. I know it's hard because it's easy, but you will be so much better off, even if you didn't physically have the product on hand with you and you're like making a post. Like say you're going to make a post about sunray and you're out and about and you don't even have your sunray on you. Take a picture in the sunshine, you know what I mean? And just like talk about sunray, or make a quick video of you walking down the street in the beautiful sunshine and talk about sunray. Doesn't have to be anything crazy, but that's going to land better and people are going to be so much more likely to read it than if you just took a picture of the box of sunray. If you're going to incorporate the box of sunray in your post, take it like, I don't have something that small here. I got some business cards of people's, but like take it like smiling or pointing to it, like put your face in it is my point. If you're doing the Whims gummies, don't just take a picture of the box of gummies, but take a picture of one of your kids eating the gummies, or your kids digging through the box like mine and trying to steal like 4 a day. When we first started, when Fayre was talking, Gavin comes over and is like, Mommy, I'm like, I'm on a Zoom. He's like, can I have another Whims? Like, and so I'll post little cute things in my story. Like I'm literally running out of Whims because they think they can have as many as they want in a day because they're that good. Moms, if you've never been able to get your kids to, love a vitamin or love a gummy, like you need this one. So that's what I mean. Just like keep it relatable. Try really hard not to post stock photos. I know it's hard, like I said, when it's like a new product or something like Whims, but even in that situation, one other trick I wanted to give you guys before we completely forget about stories, I know we keep going back to it, is when you go to post in your story. So let's say you posted a selfie, okay? I'm just going to act like it was this picture of me, but like, obviously this would not be the picture I choose. You click the sticker at the top again, the same one you did for captions and to go to polls. And then right here, it says photo. When you click that, you can now layer another picture on top. So I don't have a good one right now, but like, let's say it was the Whims that came out and you didn't have it yet. You could literally layer it, the picture on your photo. So you could take a selfie, like looking excited, pointing up, layer the photo. That is a way you could still make it personal and not just do not just make it like a stock photo, if that makes sense. Other tips that I have for posting effectively is make something relatable and personal to you. So, Fayre mentioned, like if you're going to steal a caption because you're still not confident in your writing, that's totally fine. Do it, but make sure it's a picture of you or a video of you. You know what I mean? If you're going to, copy an idea someone had, like make sure to put your personal spin on it somehow, like let people know like you're showing up authentically. And then really refrain from like negative stuff, controversial stuff. We all have our opinions. But here's the thing, 50% of your audience probably feels a different way. So rather than alienate them, like try to just keep it as neutral as you can. I'm not saying you got to say you agree with stuff you don't, because I definitely don't do that. I just won't comment on stuff if I don't agree. But like y'all will notice, like both Fayre and myself, like we don't post anything that's polarizing. You know what I mean? We're not posting something that like a good chance we might be unfriended by half our audience and now they no longer want to buy from us. You know what I mean? So I just try to like keep my social media very positive, very inspiring. Again, there's going to be private conversations you have with people. There's going to be ways and groups people figure out what you think anyways, but keep your public profile like a place that people feel good when they come to, not feel like crap, Do you have anything else to add to that, Fayre?
No, just being positive, because honestly, there's enough darkness in this world that obviously if you're looking to join someone in a business, you want to trust them and they need you to be the light. There's enough crap out there that they can get in arguments with strangers on the internet over a million other things. Don't be that person. You want to be the person when they like need hope, they need inspiration, they need a business to turn to help them get out of that hole. You want to be that person for them, not the person that makes them go, oh, I don't like her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And another thing posting effectively I just thought of is make sure that your posts are easy to read. So when you're typing, try not to make it like blur, like just one big run on paragraph. space out your paragraphs. If you need examples of this, go look at some of my posts. You'll notice that even if it's a long post where I'm like really telling my story and pouring my heart out and being vulnerable, it's going to have like 5 neat paragraphs. Another way you can keep it easy to read is emojis. Another really important thing is make sure that first line, because remember, you're trying to get them to stop scrolling. That first line is something that is engaging enough that they're interested in reading the rest of the post. So put something inspiring, something catchy, just something for that first one. For product posts, I'll put things like, if you've been tired, fatigued, getting sick constantly, blah, 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 listen up. And that gets people's attention because most people are struggling with all those things. And they're like, what is she going to say? And then I go into, what that means. It could be a vitamin D deficiency or whatever. And then how I can help you fix it, my call to action at the end. So kind of a good blueprint for your post is a catchy, I'm not going to say one liner because it could be a couple sentences, but something catchy that's a scroll stopper. And then you want to put the meat and potatoes in the body of the post. And then at the very end, you always want a call to action. If you are making a business post or product post and you don't have a call to action, I'm telling you, you're missing out on fruit that could be yours, because there are some people that won't reach out if you don't give them a clear, easy way. So those are my biggest tips, with just keeping your post clean, easy to read. Nothing crazy. Like I said, add emojis that keeps people's eyes engaged. But it's just those little things that make a big difference. So, before we keep going and wrap it up, does anybody have any questions? You can unmute yourself and ask. You can put it in the chat. I don't see any questions in the next minute or so. We'll probably wrap it up. But I hope you guys take these tips tonight, and really implement them this week, and just let this be your inspiration to not overthink, to not make things harder than they need to be. Remember, done is better than perfect. It is much better that you showed up every day and you got something posted, that you utilize these tips, even if you still were a little confused, than just, sit there and like overthink and, oh, it's not perfect, so I'm just not going to post anything at all. Because honestly, one of the ways that I grew in our last company, and I feel like I can say this for you too, Fayre, is like, I grew just by doing, you know what I mean? Just showing up and making the posts. Like, if you look at my old posts when I first started back then, they are terrible. Like, I don't know what I was thinking with my photos. I don't know what I was thinking with my eyebrows. Like, I could go on and on. But I grew as I went, you know what I mean? I learned as I did the thing. And what happened as I got more confident and consistent with posting and getting in a good rhythm, I would see things that other people posted, like leaders in the company that inspired me. And I would see something they posted that was like a really like, seems like a simple thing to do. And I would just go figure out how to do it. Or I'd go watch a YouTube video on it. And I started getting better. I learned how to better edit my photos. You know what I mean? I learned how to do things that might sound simple, just like saying it like this, but it is things that so many people overthink and make more complicated than it needs to be. So that's my best advice, is like, just show up and learn as you go. And when you see things that inspire you, figure out how to do it, message the person, ask them how they did it. Most often than not, if they get the message, they're going to respond. Okay, I see some questions. Let's see. Is one platform better to focus on than any others? And what about other platforms like TikTok? So Shannon, this definitely like kind of depends on who you ask. I feel like there's a lot of people that will swear TikTok's the best. I personally feel like Instagram's the best. Fayre, what's your preference over Instagram, Facebook, TikTok? Oh, is it not letting you unmute? Hold on. I think I unmuted you.
Okay, sorry, I texted you because I was like, I'm muted, now I can't get back. I'm old school, I'm old, so Facebook is my personal favorite. I will say that I know a lot of people on my feed that are killing it on TikTok. And they like swear by it, but I don't know. I'm so weirded out by TikTok. I'm old. I don't know. I'm like a creature of habit, but I definitely think if you know how to use it and you like it, give it a try, because there are some people doing amazing on there, but Facebook is my favorite.
Yeah, I would say my favorite is Instagram, then Facebook. And I like them pretty much the same. I'm a little partial to Instagram because when I got started in our last company, I had probably like 1,600 friends on Facebook. Now I'm maxed out at 5,000 friends. So if you friend me and I don't accept you, it's because I think I have literally like 6 spots left that I can accept. So you can follow me, but I try not to accept, all the requests I get, because Facebook unfortunately limits you on friends, but you can have as many followers as you want. But what I love about Instagram is it's unlimited. And so I started growing Instagram when I got started. I only had 200 followers, and I just started like every night following people. We've got a Zoom on our YouTube that on my YouTube channel that Fayre and Nicole Hassinger and I all did together last month, and it's called Social Media Basics. So I recommend watching that if you haven't yet, because we go over growth tips, engagement tips, like so many good things. It's just like an hour of like fundamental basics. But all that being said, I grew my Instagram to the point it is now, 35,000 followers. And so it's definitely paid me very well, served me very well. But I do love Facebook too. I will say, like, now I've kind of like gravitated more back to Facebook than I was back in those days. One thing I want to tell you about TikTok, because yes, there's a lot of people that love TikTok. What I started doing, and I'm actually finally caught up as of today, yay. There is in a website, if you just Google website to download Instagram Reels without watermark, there's 100 that'll come up. Just pick one of the first ones. You can paste the link to your reel by clicking that little arrow that I showed y'all to share to story, click copy link. You can paste it in that website and it will download it on your phone without the watermark. And so if you edit it in Instagram, it had sound, all that, that's the only way you can save it back. So what I started doing was a few weeks ago, I saved all my Instagram Reels. I literally just like hammered it out one day for like an hour. I saved them all. And what I've been doing is like 2 times a day, sometimes 3 times a day, I've been posting them all to TikTok and YouTube Shorts, because I thought, why not? I already made the content. Like, why not just throw it up there and see what happens? And I have gotten a customer from it. So haven't gotten like a ton from it, but like I also just now started doing it. So I'll show you guys like on my TikTok, like it's literally just all my videos from Instagram. My TikTok only has like 300 followers because I've never grown it. But you'll notice I have like a couple of videos that like took off, and like even with having a low following got like 1,000 views. And then I have some that are duds that it's like 116 views, but I figure like my mindset is like, you already did the work. Why not just put it over there and see what happens? I did a couple that I shared to my YouTube that got like 10,000 views. And I was like, I don't even have like that big of a YouTube following. I think I've got like 2,000, but like not for shorts. It's for my people watching Zooms like this. So I was like really shocked by that. So I was like, okay, like I'm just going to start saving every video I do, throw it up there. It takes an extra 2 minutes to throw it up there. I'm not really going to focus on growing, but I'm going to put it up there because why not? And I will say, since I've started doing it, I know I said I've only signed one customer from it, but I have gotten like 30 new followers. So take that for whatever you will. I don't want to overwhelm y'all. Like those of you that are like, okay, I'm just starting with the basics. I'm going to go watch that social media basics Zoom y'all reference. Don't, worry about this right now. But once you start getting a groove, this is something you could do, maybe a few weeks from now, maybe a couple months from now. And you never know what'll happen, like if you throw stuff up there and you end up getting a couple customers and it took you 2 minutes a day to put old videos on, like, why not? That's kind of the way I look at it, is work smarter, not harder. Okay. So Shannon said, following your tips when we were in the last company is how I grew my IG to thousands of followers from hundreds. Yeah. I mean, I feel like like those tips that we give on that social media basic Zoom, if you follow them, you will grow your Instagram pretty quickly. Christy said, I'm not very familiar with Instagram. What is the difference between a post, a reel, or a story? Should we do them all, or is one better than the other? Yeah. So Christy, you want to do them all, and they don't have to all be on the same day. I recommend stories every day. And then like you can alternate between reels and post. You can also do what's called carousels, which we talk a lot more on that social media basic Zoom. So I'll let you go watch that, because otherwise we'll be here all night if we recap all that. But just to show you the difference, a reel is a video. So a reel is like an actual video. A carousel is like something like this, where you scroll through and it's different photos. So I did one of my daughter being a teen mom, and I put like the first photo was a current photo, but then when you scrolled through, there was older photos, and that was an opportunity post. I did it again with this one. This is a picture of me and my kids. This is an opportunity post. When you scroll through, I actually just wrote the caption in little graphics. So super simple. You can make that on like over GoDaddy Studio, Canva, whatever. And you don't have to do all that right now. I'm just like kind of showing you what the different things are. And then a post is just one picture. So a post is one picture, a carousel is multiple pictures, a reel is a video. Stories go away in 24 hours. They can be posts. I mean, they can be pictures, they can be videos, they can be anything. But stories are what comes up right there. When you see the colored, the things at the top of your screen, those are stories. On your own profile, when you have a story, you're going to see the ring around your photo. So that's what a story is. And stories are what we were talking about. They expire in 24 hours. So you can put stuff up that you don't have to overthink. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to be gone in 24 hours anyways. And that, I don't know how, if you got on the Zoom later, Christy, but when we were sharing about polls on your story or adding another photo layering on your story, I can't remember what else we said. Doing the live on your story, going hands free and just talking. Those are all story functions. Whereas a post is something that you're intentionally posting, it's going to be permanent on your profile. So do we have any more questions before we wrap up? These are all good questions. Charnay said that is where I struggle, all the pics and all the trending things. I'm trying still living in the 80s. You know, I hear you, because I feel like with Fayre and I, like we grew our business on like mostly still photos with our last company. And so like she said, when Reels came out in like 2020, we were like, wait, what? We've never had to do all that before. So it's one of those things. You grow, you learn as you go. So
There'll be something new again that we'll have to learn. It's like ever evolving. So you just have to get comfortable with the idea of like you're gonna look stupid maybe in the beginning, but you're gonna get better and better and better. That's how like why I said when I started making reels, it was just like bloop, like the quickest thing ever. Cause I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
yeah.
Start there. Start with a picture of your feet walking and just type something
Yep.
out. Like it doesn't have to be super complicated. You'll get better.
Yep. For those of you Floridians, you can literally take a picture of yourself walking on the beach, like Fayre said, like walking into the water and just like a picture of your feet walking in the water or a video and write something inspiring, you know? It doesn't have to be crazy at all. Like you can just start simple and then as you go, you'll get more confident, you'll do more things. And like honestly, that is the key. If you're listening to this and you're like, I'm overwhelmed, I don't feel confident, even more reason you just got to start. Even if you take 3 tips you learned tonight and you implement them this week, that's a win. That's huge. Next week, you're going to feel even more confident. You can take 3 more tips. You know what I'm saying? But don't overwhelm yourself trying to be perfect on day 1 of learning all this. Just like take baby steps, learn as you go. Well, thank you guys so much for being on. We will definitely, Fayre and I will get together and plan a branding Zoom to do for you guys later in the month. And I'll make sure I share it in the big page too. Because it seems like that was helpful for a lot of you to get on. And thank you guys for getting on with us and joining us. We enjoyed having you here. But yeah, I hope you guys all have a great night. I will get this uploaded to my YouTube tonight. So if you got on late and you want to watch the replay, I will have it uploaded probably in the next like 10 minutes. And if you have team members you want to share it with, you can just grab that link and send it to them. And remember, if you are new to all these tips shared tonight, I really recommend watching that social media basics Zoom that Fayre and I did with Nicole on our team last month, because that will really help you. It's right at an hour. It's very elementary stuff. Like it's not going to overwhelm you too much, but it's like stuff you can like actually practically start doing and it will help you grow. You heard Shannon say in our last company, those were the tips I gave her and she grew her Instagram from hundreds to thousands. So it is things that like everyone can implement right away. So I definitely recommend watching that if you haven't already. But anyways, thank you guys so much. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.